Databases, SQL and NoSQL. Databases. Databases are a collection of information that is organized so they can be easily accessed, managed, and updated. They are classified according to their organizational approach. Two types of databases are SQL and NoSQL databases. SQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. It is used to communicate with the database. Data is stored within rows in a table. SQL language. Elements of SQL language include clauses, expressions, predicates, queries, and statements. Clauses. Clauses are components of statements and queries. They can be optional in some cases. Example clauses include from and where. To the right is just some simple clauses examples. Expressions. They produce scalar values. They also produce tables consisting of columns and rows. Expressions can be used to solve mathematical operations. Here is an example of an expression. Predicates. Predicates are used to specify conditions that can be evaluated to the SQL three-value logic, which is true, false, and unknown. It is used to limit the effects of statements and queries. Predicates can also change program flow. Queries. Queries are an important element of SQL. They retrieve data based on specific criteria and are performed with a declarative select statement. This is an example of a query. Statements. Statements have a persistent effect on schemata and data. They control transactions, connections, and diagnostics. A semicolon is used at the end of a statement in SQL. NoSQL databases. These databases do not use the SQL language to communicate with the database. They are developed in response to the rise in volume of data stored. NoSQL databases include document databases, graph store databases, key value store databases, and wide column databases. Document databases. Documents encode data or information in a standard format or encodings. Documents are addressed via a unique key that represents the document. Documents can be retrieved based on their contents. Graph store databases. They are designed for data that is well represented in a graph. They scale naturally to large data sets. They are mostly used for social relations, public transport links, and road maps data. Key value store databases. They use an associative array as its fundamental data model. Data is represented as a collection of key value pairs. It is one of the simplest non-trivial data models. To the right is an example of a key value pair. Wide column stored databases. These databases store data and records with an ability to hold very large numbers of dynamic columns. Columns are created for each row rather than being predefined by the table structure. A popular wide column stored database is HBase. SQL versus NoSQL. There are key differences between SQL and NoSQL databases. These are the types of schema and scalability. Types of schema. SQL databases use predefined schema. NoSQL databases use dynamic schema for unstructured data. Both approaches work better with certain kinds of data. Scalability. SQL databases are vertically scalable, while NoSQL databases are horizontally scalable. SQL databases are scaled by increasing the horsepower of the hardware. NoSQL databases are scaled by increasing the database servers and the pool of resources to reduce the load. SQL platforms. Major SQL platforms include MySQL Community Edition, MS SQL Server Express Edition, and Oracle Express Edition. NoSQL platforms include MongoDB, CouchDB, and Redis. SQL and NoSQL are two different approaches to creating databases. Each approach has its own benefits and challenges. It is important for businesses to use the type of database that best suits their needs.